Welcome to the East End Education Forum. I'm your host, Bob Tymann, and usually at this time, I make a statement thanking the East Hampton Education Foundation for sponsoring these programs, but today I get to thank them in person. Our guests are all representatives from the foundation. I'd like to welcome Nancy McMullen, President, Marjorie Winslow, Treasurer, and Jeff Tupper, Board Member and still a teacher at John Marshall Elementary School. Welcome, everyone.
Thank you for having us.
Now, your organization was established in 2005, and you have awarded scholarships and mini grants in excess of $450,000 in that time.
Mm-hmm.
In addition, over $100,000 in books through your Author in Hand program, and you've funded programs for writing, character education, and enrichment in all the schools in East Hampton. These efforts have improved the learning experience for countless children in our town. It's truly amazing that a group of dedicated community members can have such a positive impact on our schools, and we realize that this requires incredible leadership, organization, and most of all, your time. And I'm sure time is probably the most important thing you give. So let's start by looking at the kind of the roots of your organization. How did we get started, and how did it evolve over the years to its present form?
Okay, I'm going to actually pass that on to Marjorie, because Marjorie is a founding member of the foundation, and she was a part of how the sort of the genesis of the foundation was brought together.
It was originally, I believe, the idea of Ben Krupinski. He met with our then supervisor, Ray Galtieri, and Charlie Soriano.
Mm-hmm.
And the Greater East Hampton Education Foundation was formed similar to a program that they had in Somerset, New Jersey that had worked very well. They saw a need that the curriculum and the school budget wasn't managing to meet. So they made some phone calls and they got a number of us together, some teachers, some parents, some business people, lawyers, accountants, the administrator, and Ben and Bon Krupinski. And we started the Education Foundation so that we could create scholarships, mini grants, and programming that weren't possible through the budget.
And it was an offshoot of the Amagansett something, you said, children's?
Well, they called Michael Sinque and I because we were on the Amagansett Children's Foundation. And the first year we worked, we didn't have our 501c3 yet. So we actually, our first golf tournament was at the Amagansett Golf Club, South Fork, through the Children's Foundation. And then the Children's Foundation was closing. We built our playground in Amagansett, and there wasn't a need for it anymore. So we all came over here and became part of the Education Foundation.
Well, interesting.
Just knowing so many local people in the community that have served on this board over the years, it's a tremendous give back to the community. There's local businessmen, as you said, accountants, teachers, administrators, and it's just nice to see people from each little hamlet out here that have joined this board and putting all their ideas together and just shooting ideas back and forth. In my 4 years on the board, it's just great to get together and kind of see what we can do to enrich each other in the local community.
Every program we have is satisfying. I think every board member has enjoyed creating them.
Yeah, and it's really nice to see that the programs that you have been able to bring over the years. I mean, to the schools and the students, but you said 2005, so it's right. It's like 15 years, right?
It's going to be 17 years.
17 years now. So that's amazing. And we also just reached a really big milestone. Marjorie was sharing with us earlier. We've donated over $1 million in different programs to the community. In that time. And that's just really, again, it's dedication, it's volunteers, who really believe in students and school and staff members, and they want to just support that, outside of, again, what the budget can do in a typical public school. We've really enriched the lives and created some really unique educational experiences. And we really hope to keep doing that because there's obviously a big need.
I know from my time in East Hampton that the teachers who put in for the mini grants, there was always a passion project for them. It was like, I know this isn't in the big picture for the school, but I really would love to do this with my students.
Right.
And it would not happen without your support.
Yeah, we've given really some really creative, really amazing programs. Again, like you said, it's really the teachers who come to us with these amazing ideas. I know we've given, this year, one of the things that sticks out in my mind, we talked about this as a board, was this money for a teacher in the middle school to create a knitting club. And at first, I was skeptical. I didn't really know what the sort of goal was going to be. But then as we read through the application, we realized, that knitting is one of those things that calms people and brings people together in a close circle, and they can kind of let all their things aside and start to connect with each other, and the stress of school goes away.
And unplug from technology. For
Right,
a few
that was
minutes.
big, exactly. Unplug from technology and be creative and learn a fun skill, so.
So knitting as a mental health initiative, which
Exactly,
makes
yeah.
perfect sense when you think about it.
There's a tremendous amount of the push for the mental health on this board. I know just recently, Margie and I have been in touch. We had a former student reach out, Riley O'Donnell and Dylan Cashin, another student in the high school, and they are putting together a 5K. You'll see the signs along East Hampton Village now. Stop the Stigma 5K. It's May 1st, May Day. So these are students that are reaching out for mental health and to just kind of what can they do to promote it. Let's have to open up discussion and make sure that we're all there to support each other. And that's when you see students coming to this foundation, that's pretty cool.
Right.
That they know that we're there to support them as well. Another thing I've seen at John Marshall is there's, as you know, been a reading initiative in the past few years. And Russell Morgan came to me and said, what do you think? I've seen this idea of a book machine rather than a vending machine where you would take a token for an amount of minutes you would read throughout the school year, and then you could then purchase, basically be donated a book from this vending machine. And I brought it back to the board, and they thought it was a great idea. And then they had the students and this leadership council write the grant. And they've been doing that each year, each way through it. Just recently, I want to say the past few weeks, there was a new grant by this new leadership council where they're going to put some outdoor equipment on that field by the 5th grade wing there. That makes familiar?
Yes.
So it's open there for them to have almost as another playground, courtyard, wellness center for them. So the kids got behind that too, and the board supported that once again, which we're very, very appreciative for at John Marshall, and all the schools are. I know in Springs there's a lot of STEM-based stuff in the science lab and in their schools, garden clubs.
Yeah, the garden club was fun, that we got to see Mrs. DeFranzo bring that to those kids in 5th grade. She bought this really fun, and we've put it up on our website, this grow light, and it's just a great picture of the kids learning, how these plants can grow inside in this fun contraption. But then she also brought it to the high school. She brought, all of her enthusiasm up there, and it's just great to see it go from one school to the next. But and we work closely with the Tyler Project, which is, their entire initiative is based on mental health initiatives, and so they partner with us, and we get character ed programs into the school through them. And she's, Belinda Valsich is the, the president and founder of it, her and her husband, and they have just been bowled over by the support from us and the community, really, and so happy with all the programs we've brought, to the school.
That idea of having the students involved in writing the grants, I mean, I think about good instruction, I think about students having voice and choice in the project. And a tangible result. This is everything. This is everything I would want in a fantastic project for the students to actually be involved in creating the grant and then seeing the result of their work.
Right.
Literally today, I looked out my window and I see the leadership council kind of out there setting up, mapping out where the stuff's going to go. So that hands-on, it's that much of an ownership to them.
That's great.
And the facilitator, Mrs. Fink and Mr. Morgan. So it's pretty cool to see.
And then writing about that, talk about a writing project that's going to have meaning to the kids, and not just the usual topics, which I remember from school.
Well, and to learn, what a grant is and what that means, and a mini grant, and on our board, and to go through the process of applying and then getting the reward letter that you've gotten it, and then also they have to, after it's done, they have to report back to us. And this year, we stepped up our requirements for that post-interview, sort of, if you will, rather than just a form that they fill out. We're going to hope that we can get the teachers and the students, if they're involved, to do a little short interview with us, just to say, was your goal reached? How did you see it implemented? Did it reach, how many students did it reach? So I'm excited to see that.
Yeah, that'll be fun. That'll be fun, both
Yeah.
for the students and for the adults involved.
Yeah.
And what's nice to see when I have that perspective of working in the school to see it is this is kids going, beyond their school day. This is meeting in the morning. This is after school. So this is not like taking out of class time. This is them going above and beyond. My daughter and a lot of her friends happen to be on this current council, which is kind of interesting to see from an outside perspective. Same thing with Riley and Dylan, being former students from our community. They know where to go, and they have mission statements, and they are driving it home. And now to see those posters up, I saw them this
Yeah,
weekend,
yeah, they're great.
that the mayor has and the village board have put up. Way to go, kids. Like, way to really, we live in, as you know, a great community where kids just are really invested in so many things within the arts, within the sports, within everything. And it's really cool to see them have the ownership of it.
And this is in all the schools on the East End. We're familiar mostly with East Hampton schools, but Montauk Springs, Amagansett, everybody gets a piece of the pie.
Yes, and that's
Yeah.
where our original name came from, with the word greater at the beginning,
Right.
because they wanted people to understand that it wasn't just East Hampton, the middle school, John Marshall, and the high school. They wanted it to, it was encompassing all of the feeder districts, the town, public schools. And so recently, you'll notice our website and our names has changed. We've switched. The East Hampton Education Foundation dropped that word greater, just because we felt like it was just cumbersome and people didn't really know our name. They couldn't remember it. They couldn't get the letters in the right order.
Right.
So we're hoping that our new PR team and our new social media blast can help everyone get out there,
So you've rebranded a little for simplicity.
We have,
Yeah.
and we've also just really wanted to, freshen our logo as well as our theme, sort of with our website. But we also found, unfortunately, sometimes when we would go to events that people didn't know who we were. They didn't know what we did. They thought we only gave scholarship. And we do so much more than that. So this has been a real big push. And we have some young people doing our social media for us. And they're helping. They're helping a lot. So we're excited about that.
Can you tell me a little bit about the Author in Hand program? That is very interesting to me.
Sure. So we send out letters, a campaign, and that was created with the founding members. And it was basically an idea to help students keep reading and bolster their literacy and their love for reading. And they also wanted to help combat the summer slide, which, when students are out of school. So we just ask for the local community, if they're willing to help donate to that, and they do. And then what happens is in the spring, we work with Scholastic, and we have book fairs in all of the schools, and the students can go to the book fair and bring home a free book. Every student, K to 5, gets a free book. We had expanded to 8th grade in some of the schools, but lately we've had to rework our numbers because the numbers are getting bigger, populations are getting bigger, and now we've included pre-K at John Marshall and at Springs. And so we've had to rework the numbers, but every student pre-K to 5 will definitely get a free book from Montauk all the way to Sagaponic.
I think there's been a big misconception that students in East Hampton are wealthy. And there's a lot of students that wouldn't get a book from the book fairs without the Author in Hand program. So it gives them at least one summer reading book to take home that is their own, that they may not have without
When I
Author
first
in
came
Hand.
out to work in East Hampton, everybody said, "Oh, you're going to work in East Hampton schools," And the demographics are not what people expect. And yes, there are a lot of students who need that help. Yeah.
We saw that a lot with COVID, and there's so much that goes into this Author in Hand program behind the scenes. Nancy, as our president, Teresa Talmadge, just past president, said, I've seen, they do so much work behind the scenes, day-to-day operations. And then Shannon DeGate, who's a board member as well and works on 5th grade team with me as well. On her after-school program, she's like sealing envelopes, sending them out. It's a lot, and then all the books come in. We got to move them from point A to point B. And luckily, we have local librarians from From Montauk, I know Rachel Kleinberg's an incredible librarian who did a great job with this in Montauk. The kids love it out there. Daniel Schuster's done it at John Marshall with us. It takes a lot of the librarians' time as well, organizing kids coming in and out to get this done. And then when COVID hit, we thought we were going to go kind of on pause. And we have to give a lot of credit to Laura Molinari, who really stepped up and was like, there's a need for this right now. We got to do this. And as we're teaching Zoom on Zoom and Google Meets and and that's when you're seeing everything in this community that we did not necessarily see.
That's when we had to expand the program a little bit, because Laura called and said, there's a lot of students that don't have the resources for art projects and for crafts and creativity, because they were homeschooling.
Yes.
Right, and they had work projects and things they had to do at home, and they didn't have the supplies. So instead of giving books to every single student K-5, we decided to do, where we saw the need, we did little art bags for the K-2 students, K-2 grade, and then kids in 3 to 5, grades 3 to 5, we gave them the books. But we partnered with the really great thing that I was really most proud of during the schools when they were on pause at working from home. We partnered with 2 businesses locally, and they immediately stepped up. So Golden Eagle stepped up for the art bags, and Bookhampton in East Hampton stepped up immediately for the books. And it was no small feat. I mean, we had to get, Google Sheets with choices for you. Every teacher had a thing, and there was boxes. We got boxes delivered to Laura Molinari's husband's office, and we had to all meet there and, disseminate the books, drive them to the schools, get them to the teachers, and we did it. And that was, I think, a pretty amazing accomplishment.
Not even a question. Sean Knight is a board member as well with the technology, the way he uses that technology. He built the Google form. We got it to all the schools. Every school got it to their Google Classroom for their kid to have a choice. But then the back end of it, of putting it all together, was just an incredible feat. When you're talking in the spring of 2020, right. COVID's fresh. And tailing back to what Marjorie said, and as you know, I've grown up here my whole life in this community, and all of a sudden COVID hits and you're home and you're on Google Meets and you're seeing the backside of where kids are living and what they're living in. Kids are cooking their own breakfast at 10 years old because mom and dad are out working.
Right.
As we're giving instruction, and then you go on those car parades, and I did it with my wife's school in Montauk and here, and it just is eye-opening to see our community, and that's who we are. We embrace it, and we're here to support everyone here.
Well, when COVID started, I was involved in
Yep.
in delivering lunches and breakfast.
Right.
And people were shocked at the volume. And
Yeah.
it was eye-opening, yes.
Yeah, our community is needy,
Yes.
for sure. And that's another issue, like Marjorie mentioned, it's hard to sell that, I am asking for a donation for East Hampton, school, because East Hampton School is very lucky. They do have a strong, budget, and they do have a strong support system, but there are things that we can do to enhance. And there are needs, and we are feeling a very, a good void there that we're filling with our support, and it's important. For example, one of the things I'm also most proud of is that we send students to the 9/11 Museum every, the junior class. The entire class goes, and Jen Wilson brought that idea to the high school, and we immediately jumped on board. She asked for a donation from us, and it's a yearly contribution that we promise and commit to, and that's really important, for those students who were born after to understand, and they work it into their curriculum. But they wouldn't go otherwise. It's too far away for some students to get there. So those are some other things that are, really great. We sent kids to St. Peter's Basilica in Rome to sing. David Douglas really wanted to have that happen, and so we did with our Fine Arts Initiative, and that's another amazing experience.
I remember him coming back and giving a presentation with the students. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing trip.
But it's keeping your ears open to all these outside ideas, because with Jen coming with that idea, it was a great idea.
Right.
And okay, how can we make this happen? And we make it happen with the support of the funds that we're donated to.
Mm-hmm. We talked a little bit about character education and emotional support. What kind of programs do we have that do you support in that area?
So there's a couple good ones.
So one of them that's recurring that I know of is the Hands Are Not for Hitting, which is run through the retreat. And so they come to us, and that's through the Tyler Project. Tyler Project will fund that, but they come to us and we work it out with them. We've done like Challenge Day has been in school, where I think it's the entire high school did it, or a couple classes in the high school did it. I participated in that, and I think all of us have.
Champion of Choices in Springs.
And we did
Project Hero.
Project Hero is really good, and Charlie Sorianos really spoke up to us about that. He was going to come to a board meeting, and then of course COVID happened.
It's been a little challenging through COVID because they haven't been able to do the
Right.
one-on-one
'Cause they're not in
programming
person,
that they
yeah.
used to.
They weren't coming in. But yeah, those are some, and then
Linda Fuller, who's on our board as well, another retired East Hampton educator, who's, talk about a great mind, what a great addition she's been. She speaks back to the Challenge Day at the middle school, how they left that day, and she's an experienced, seasoned, local legend teacher. And it was like, wow, that was eye-opening for kids to just say, when you step forward, when I understand this is me too. So people and kids can see their teachers, themselves, all in that same comfort zone when they might be dealing with a certain issue. That was one we often come back to, but the hands are not for hitting one really impressed us this year. Karen Cunith, our principal, said to us, we're going to have a virtual hands are not for hitting type thing with kids, and I didn't know how it was going to go over, to be honest.
Yeah.
And is it going to? And then all of a sudden, with the retreat and our social workers, Susan Peterson and Amy Gearing, they came in to assist, and I sat in on it to watch it. And it was all virtual, but it was all anonymous. So it was interactive with the teacher coming in via Zoom, yet the kids were raising their hand, answering questions, and then they were interacting with their Chromebooks, which you're very aware of, their Chromebook, every kid has their own device.
Right.
So, and it was all anonymous. So once again, that's very similar. The polls would indicate, they feel like that's me too. Like I get it too. I have those same feelings. And it was just very well done. It was, interactive, yet that sense of confidentiality for them.
Think of the hurdles that were overcome
Yeah.
during COVID. It's amazing some of the things that were accomplished.
The other program that we did last year in Springs was the Megan's Law program. And they thanked our board because they actually were able to save a child that night because of that program. So it's these kinds of programs we'd like to continue bringing to the schools. It helps to have teachers on our board and teachers come to us either through mini grants or to let us know where the needs are.
And we have also, in addition to the mini grants, we have just program grant options that teachers, if they have an idea or a community member wants to do something, we've had that in the past where they've applied, and we've done special, like that reading book vending machine was a program grant that they asked for. So.
But Margie's on a good point. There's teachers from every school district that sit on the board. So Sean Knight is from Springs, Kelly White, Sam Agansett. We had Judy Pfister and Don DiPaolo from Montauk. So it's just interesting to sit together and collaborate those ideas and hit the needs of the different local hamlet districts in a way,
Well,
too.
that really brings perspective, too, from the building itself. You're
Yes.
really getting an inside, does this work? Is this worthwhile? Here's where I see a need. And then, Jeff, has a connection with the students. That student brought that May Day race to him, and he jumped right on board and then brought it to us. Could we help this student out? So that's really great.
How many, let's say for a scholarship, how many students put in for the scholarship? I mean,
Well, I think, so we have 3 scholarships that we do. Well, we have more than that. We have the book scholarships, and I would say we give out 10 of those, and I would say probably 40 students apply. And then we give 2 bigger ones. One is named after Bonnie Krapinski, and that's a Women in Business Scholarship. We get about 20 applicants. That's new, so it's starting to gain sort of popularity. And then our big scholarship is $10,000 over 4 years, and we get about probably 30 applicants, and then it's a rigorous application process. They have, an application that they all submit, but then the students, we narrow it down, and the students are asked to do an interview. And as is the Women in Business, we ask them to do an interview, and that's really the best part of it. And we always say every year we wish we could give one to all the finalists because they're such great kids. And we try to spread the wealth. We really try not to piggyback on other organizations that we know are giving scholarships to those kids. And it's also a fine line between those students that are show financial need versus those top academic performers. And they're very different sets of criteria, as you can imagine.
Right.
But we really try to find students that, aren't necessarily the top or in one or the other category. We really try to find that student that may not get the top academic scholarship. Because there are those kids that kind of get lost, I think, sometimes, and not in the middle necessarily, but they just necessarily don't stand out for one category or the other. And we have a great committee. Mary Sosha is another member who's been on for a very long time, and she spearheads that committee, and she's very meticulous about the process, and it's all very confidential.
Yeah, that's the key, is the confidentiality and the binder that she brings to these meetings. I mean, it's this big, and she's at some point ready to pass it on. We don't ever want to lose her, because she's been,
Right.
she's another one who's a dedicated board member who
Yeah.
I've known since my first year here. Her son's now married and
Yeah,
off to
I know.
great things himself, but just for her to sit there and with her subcommittee and keep everything so confidential, and the way we make sure that if you're a parent in the high school or you're a staff member that you can't be on the committee, they'll come to us with the recipients. It just is so well done, and has.
And every year, the school, the principal will announce and say to the parents at that scholarship night, and I'm so blown away by it, that our local community gives out over $350,000 in scholarship funds that night. That's amazing that we have a community that does that. So many kids, apply to the scholarships, and there's lots of money to be had out there, with certain.
But credit to you. You also with the Women in Business Scholarship. That's the new one. That's the new fundraiser too.
Oh yes, we're doing a fundraiser for that at the clubhouse. And it's going to benefit all of our scholarships, but mostly one part of it is specifically designed to help benefit the Women in Business Scholarship, and that's at the clubhouse on June 23rd. There's going to be some music. Rick Davies and friends are going to be performing, and there's going to be some fun raffles, so I hope you join us.
Sounds good.
Should be fun.
And the clubhouse, Scott and Holly Rubenstein are
they're
always so good
supportive.
to us and our community as well. So.
And that's a fundraiser we had to replace because we couldn't have our May fundraiser, that we always have, which was our Sunset Over the Harbor, and it was always held at East Hampton Point. And it was, again, goes back to, Ben and Bonnie, who were founding members, were so instrumental in our success because they donated funds. They also donated their businesses, and so we can have our gala at the East Hampton Point every year. That's almost zero cost. And we have our golf fundraiser at East Hampton Golf Club, thanks to them and their family. And so, it's like I said, it's a group effort, but that fundraiser in June was hard for us. We didn't have anything we couldn't really find a niche, and then finally we were able to throw this together at the clubhouse. And I think it will be great. And it was also hard with COVID we kind of.
The last 2 years have been a little different.
Yes, exactly.
But yet, all the golf tournament and all of your hard work with that, another big binder, and that goes off right in September at the East Hampton Golf Club. And being a golfer and having friends that are golfers, they love to come to this event in September.
Yeah.
The season's kind of over, but you have the same local people continually playing in this tournament, which is a little pricey, but they're there to give. And they come back every year, and there's a nice cocktail party after that clubhouse. The East Hampton Golf Club is as pretty as it gets.
It is.
We had to modify the setup for that, but even during COVID,
Yeah.
Right. Again, they
Still a
helped. Again,
successful
they stepped
event.
up, the staff, and helped us. And instead of doing a shotgun start, we did tee times and kept everybody. We pushed it back to a different time of year and cut down on the number of foursomes, but it was it went off, and we raised the money again. And there's dedicated people who give or who sign up for each thing. I feel like each person who gives to us has their passion project, if you will. So there's dedicated people who donate to the Author in Hand. Then there's dedicated golfers that come every year, and they look forward to that event. And then there's the people who give, just because they want to come to the clubhouse. So I think if you market yourself right and you get your PR going well, you can do that.
Very good. With the teacher mini grants, what criteria do you look for in those? What are you looking for?
Well, I know from my perspective, what I understand from that committee, which is run by Lara Lee Gemiola, the real criteria that's the real crux of it is that it has to be seed money. They'd like it, they want it to something that can be used on. And they also really want it to affect or touch multiple students, not just a small little group. So if we order, let's say, I don't know, musical instruments, if somebody wants that for a classroom that they want to have in their classroom. I know one year we gave money for ukuleles. We really want to see those shared, with different grades or used over and over. Or if we buy a classroom set of certain books. This year we bought some graphic novels for a classroom. Well, they applied and we gave the money. I didn't say we bought them. But anyway, we would love for them to be shared among the different, classrooms so that everyone can utilize it. So those kinds of things are what we look for.
There's like a movement station that was put on the halls of John Marshall, and it's funny to watch. And I was like, what are they doing here? Like, I'm watching it go down one day, and it just seemed interesting. And now every day to watch kids hop down this thing, they're moving and they're touching things, and it's all about the movement and the mindfulness of keeping your body moving throughout the day, to take a little short break. If it's not always easy for a kid to sit in class all day, so they need to get out and take a break. So those type of things, that's one. A lot of enrichment type stuff I've seen as well. I said, going back to Springs, I know there's a lot of STEM and STEAM projects that are often. I just happened to step in the other day to watch a basketball game. Their new addition is beautiful. I don't know if you've seen it yet. It's really well done. And Sean Knight's classroom happened to be right near there, and I was like, wow, look at this. But I know that the science hands-on curriculum over there, he's very big into that. And what can I do next? I got this going. And once again, Lara Lee Gemiola, who's great, another board member, she heads that kind of committee as well. Confidentiality comes through the whole thing, and then she brings it back to us, what's been approved, what's not been approved. And a lot of follow-up, too, has been.
Yeah, because if there's questions about the application, if maybe there's something that's, like at first with the knitting club, she just simply picked up the phone, had a conversation with the woman who sent the application, and then some of the questions were answered, and we were like, of course, we want to sign on for that. So, it really has to be something that a lot of kids can use, and it can go on. And I think one of the things we did with the mini grants maybe was it wasn't the FOSS kits. That was bigger.
The FOSS kits, we had a benefactor that donated almost $50,000 to get FOSS kits in all our schools.
I remember that with Rich Wilson. Yes,
but now part of what's happening is those kits are outdated. And I know in Springs, in order to update those kits, it's a $25,000 price tag to update the FOSS kits. And some of the school districts are struggling with that now. So.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, so we have
we did do a lot of robotics. I know that Sean runs a summer program in robotics also in Springs for the kids, B-bots and robots and things.
Yeah, and it's just, it needs to be, it's sort of kind of, needs to align with our mission statement of being innovative and unique and enrichment for widening the scope of the education for the students, and not just a one-off thing.
We've had, especially during COVID, we had requests for yoga programs and mindfulness programs.
A lot of mindfulness.
Some of that, instead of through mini grants, it went through the character education and the Tyler Project. But the teachers really see the needs that the students might have and try to find ways to meet that need, and that's what they bring to us through mini grants or program grants.
One thing I've seen in my years on the board is I didn't know Marjorie at all before I got on the board, and I've never seen an idea come to our table and she doesn't look at that spreadsheet and find a way to say, how can we put this under a certain tab?
Right.
And still balance our
And
budget.
still, but it is, but
Somebody's got to be worried about that.
it's always greeted with open ears and then yes or no, but there's ways that she gets it done. She's a tremendous asset to our board for sure.
Yeah, that new scholarship that they brought to us was interesting. It was an interesting phone call. There's a person in our community who wanted to donate some money, and Cindy Allentuck came to us and asked if we could run it through our 501c3. And so I said I need to see the criteria. She sent it to me, and I asked Marjorie, and she said, well, yeah, that will fit under our wellness, and it's the Katie Cassidy, is that it?
I
Kate
think
Cassidy,
so.
Kate Cassidy Foundation. And so, anyway, part of that money that she donated is a scholarship, but then she's also donated money for the cafeteria employees that they hire now are required to get a background check, and it costs money. And they're volunteers, I guess, I think. Maybe they're not volunteers, but they need, so anyway, her money is offsetting that cost of the background check.
Oh.
She wants them to be able to apply and not feel that, that's a cost prohibitive. So, and that's part of what she told me. So
Because
that's,
it's a new need. There's so many more
yeah,
students
Lunches,
that are in the
Yeah.
lunch
And
program.
that's such a
and-
practical use of this kind of money.
Right.
That makes so much sense.
right.
So what are the fundraising events? We've mentioned a few of them a little bit, but what are your main fundraisers? How do you get all this money together?
Well, so we always have our annual, we have our golf, which is called the Drive to Educate, and that's in the fall at East Hampton Golf Club. This year we've started this one, it's a, like a raffle fundraiser it's called, and I have to get a title together, we're still creating it, for June at the clubhouse. We also have letter campaigns we send out, we'll just do that sometimes, we just send different lists that we have. One of the other things that we did when we wanted to start the Bonnie Bistrian Scholarship, which was brand new, and it was, we wanted to do something to honor Bonnie. Her friends came together, some of her family members, and they came up with the idea of having a wine dinner. So we had a wine dinner at East Hampton Golf Club. We're hoping to have one again this summer, on which would be Bonnie's 75th, would have been her 75th birthday. And that's a family tradition that they used to do with Bonnie for her birthday. So we were trying to emulate, recreate that and have another wine dinner. But the other things we do little things throughout the year. We sell.
Second shift.
Yeah, we had Second Shift. My brother-in-law's in this fun band. His band came to the clubhouse. We had fun night there. He's been to the Talk House, and we had something. But we also do a 50-50
The cold
raffle
cash.
in the winter. And it's right before the holidays. We pull the ticket, and so people can get some extra little bump in cash. And, it's not a lot of our members. It's not asking them a lot, to go and sell a few raffle tickets. It's a set number. So that's kind of also, you have to be mindful of how much you're working your board members. You can't,
I'm sure Teresa
ask too
Talmadge
much.
just sold you a ticket or two in your day.
I don't think I had a choice. In fact, I was surprised Teresa wasn't here, but I realized that she would need her own show.
Well, she's sort of in the kind of on a break from our foundation, but we ask her every year to help sell tickets, and
She's amazing.
She sells the lion's share of the tickets.
She'll call me. Usually it's for my tenants being late, but it's she'll like, Jeff, did you sell your tickets yet? And I was like, no, they're due today. And then she'll send me around the school or somewhere here and there, and they're sold in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
She'll,
But it's a great fundraiser. It's around the holidays.
Yeah, it's fun.
They have a random drawing at East Hampton.
We go again. So this is another thing that Ben and
1770
Bonnie
house.
did. They let us have the drawing at the 1770 at Christmas. It's so beautiful in there,
And
1770 house.
they have a waiter or a staff member pull the tickets on recording.
Yeah, we put
so
up
it's-
pictures. We
Yeah.
always take pictures and we video and
Once again, the Krupinskis.
Right, and it just makes our foundation, our members feel like they get to go out to 1770, maybe sit and have a fun, quick little bite to eat and some conversation, pull this ticket, and then they've also made someone else's day really great.
right,
Yeah.
right.
So,
And that rewarding feeling you get from doing this kind of work is
Right.
why you're all involved. I mean, that's-
yes,
We had a casino night a few years back, right before COVID.
and that was really popular.
Yeah, at the American
We have to-
the American Legion.
Yeah, we have to try to do that again.
And Maureen Bowles was the lead on that, correct? As I
Yeah,
remember,
yes,
she was
yeah.
she took a big.
It was a lot of work.
Leap, a lot of work Maureen put in for that.
Is
That was
the-
fun too.
Is the golf tournament your biggest event?
Well, now it is. It used to be sort of one of the two. The gala, the Sunset Over the Harbor was big, but the golf tournament brings in a good amount of money, But it's not an easy feat, but it does. It's the dedicated golfers that come, and then we get the dedicated sponsors of the holes and the flags and all of that. And there are a lot of people.
A lot of locals, like architects. Your husband's big in it too. I mean, he's a golfer as well. But local builders, local insurance agents.
They'll take their guys out, their staff, or and they also, it's an opportunity for somebody who isn't a member of a private club to play at a beautiful club like that. And they're at the same time giving to their community, so.
I figure that's my only shot to play there.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
It's the best time. It's late
Yeah.
fall.
It's beautiful.
that'll be good. You talked about the rebranding a little bit, And that was more just about the name, or is there other pieces
It was
to
sort of
that?
about the name, but it was really about getting the message out there of who we are, and that we're a foundation based in education, and that we were giving to students and to teachers, you know, and not just scholarships. A lot of people had it in their head that we just give out scholarships. And we really wanted to make sure that they knew that, you know, we don't just do that. There's so much more that we do. Scholarships is a big part of it. But, and it's also just was hard for people to remember the name. And it's also, Marjorie and I've talked about this often, it's hard to sell the idea that, again, East Hampton schools are so needy when there's so many other things out in our community that really are, that, you know, that, and also that tug at your heartstrings. You know, the food pantry and those things are things people can really relate to. So we had to sort of just freshen things up, change it up a little bit, get some people involved in the social media, just get our message out there, connect with the newspaper. We've had a few articles coming here, has been great. So just sort of like, let's start again, you know, not start again, but just sort of shift and refresh and send out a new, you know, message.
I remember
Well, we
being,
hit our first million in awards, and we're starting now towards our second million. So we have to grow a little bit in order to do that.
Right.
So,
And we have a very high rating. I guess there's a charity rating,
GuideStar.
which I didn't know, and it's called GuideStar. And we have a platinum rating, you said, right? I mean, that's, meaning, I guess it's based on your donations versus what you spend on administrative fees and things like that, right?
yeah, they don't like to see high administration fees, and we don't. We are all volunteers, so everything that is donated to us goes out in scholarships, mini grants, author in hand, or programming. So that's
I
part of
know
what.
that some of the big national organizations that people give to, that they have huge overhead. But small grassroots pieces like this, your money is getting right to
Right.
where it's intended.
Right. And a lot of the, you know, the members of our board, like Marjorie's business, their family members, you know, my husband's business, people help in every way that they can. They help. I'll print that for you. I'll, you know, whatever. They'll just help and to keep those costs down. You know, that we don't have to buy all those other supplies.
How many people are on the board?
What is it, Marjorie? 16, I think?
I think it's 14 right now,
Okay.
and we're hoping to get more.
Yes, we would love new members. We love members who are interested. It's not a lot of work. It sounds like it's a lot of work, but it's not a lot of time commitment. It's one meeting a month, only from September to June. We take the summer sort of off, and I do the back behind the scenes of the golf that over the summer, but that's easy. And it's we want people who are vested in kids and in schools. So I think what we're looking, hopefully, would get some parents of younger students, because I mean, we have lots of time to devote as our kids, you know, grow out of the school system, and I know I do. But we also need younger parents who really have a vested interest. And people who graduated from East Hampton High School who live here now with their families, you know, that would be, what a great way to get involved, know people, and feel like you've really made an impact.
We're
So
a
we are
little
looking-
excited because we have a couple of young people who are 30-ish, and they've offered to help us with our June, get all the social media and.
Right. We were thinking Linda Fuller's idea of sort of creating this ambassador sort of board where it's people like that of that age group, the 25 to 40-year-old sort of, that are here in the community. Maybe they don't have to devote as much time, but help us get some of these events off and running, bring friends to the events, spread the word, things like that.
And some of the young ones who were students not so long ago may give us a different perspective also on needs and functions. So
Right.
we're kind of excited about that.
Yeah, and on our social media, one of the things we're going to launch soon, we're working on it right now, is this Where Are They Now campaign. Because we really want to celebrate the prior scholarship winners who've graduated and moved on, and we want to see where they are. We want to see what they're doing. So I'm excited for that.
That'll be really interesting.
Yeah.
it is, and knowing some of them as former students, they're doing great things, which is great. As you know from your seat as assistant superintendent, we send kids out of East Hampton High School to incredible schools around this country.
Yes.
It's come a long way since when I grew up in Southampton in the 1990s, when you were staying more locally, New England schools. Now these kids are going to big-time schools all across the country. We have a great school system that feeds in with all these different, from Springs to Montauk to Amagansett to Waynescott to Sagaponack. But they get there and they thrive, and it's like, but we also have a great BOCES program. I see kids in Red Horse. What are you doing? I'm in HVAC. That's incredible. Learn a trade. So there's so many different components that are going on, and then it is so difficult to come back here and start a family, but we're seeing it. I see it. I'm also on the East Hampton Little League board, and I remember kids that were in middle school now. They're own their own businesses, builders, contractors that are sponsoring teams and coaching. So people are here to come back and give too. So it's just finding the right people in that age bracket.
You brought up HVAC, HVAC. Now, your scholarships, would they be to any type of educational institution beyond high school? So
I think it is any. Some are specifically say it has to be an accredited 4-year sort of program, but I don't think we've had students who've
The
applied.
Women in Business doesn't specify that.
No, but we also had somebody apply, they wanted to do a summer program, and it was through a university. And that's something that we created that and kind of fine-tuned that program grant sort of funding, because
We have a budget line item now for that because
it wasn't a scholarship, but it wasn't a mini grant, so we wanted to make sure there was an area where somebody could say, I've been given this opportunity to study, a med school, sort of class in Philadelphia, but I need help with the housing and all that other stuff. So that's up there and ready to go. But our scholarships, I think, I have it here, I think it is for colleges.
Colleges.
Not at this point. We haven't had.
Because I do think something we're going to see in the next decade is a shift to, not everybody, but there'll be a significant increase in the students going on to trade schools.
Right.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
And are also going to be very expensive. But
maybe that's something
gonna
we
come
can
back
get
and have a job.
local
And shouldn't be
businesses to work
encouraged
with.
because it's a
Yes.
great
Yes.
place, and I often teach that, and this is a great place to come back. And if you have a work ethic and you have manners and you learn a trade, you can do very well here. But that's a great point. I think that's a very good point with it's keeping your eyes open to those other fields as well.
Right.
Well, with I was reading the article in the Star recently about the bus barn,
Yeah.
and they're going to have those classes are going to be in East Hampton, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Which is great.
You might have had a little bit to do with that.
Yeah, so you know a lot about that.
Yeah, that was very exciting to me. The bus barn was a necessity, but having a classroom there to do small engine repair, diesel engine repair,
Right.
those students, if they master that, they're going to be set.
Yeah. Good news.
So how would people donate? How would people get involved? Let's say you wanted to be on the board, what would they do? And if they wanted to donate, how would they do that?
Well, we have a website, which is eh-ef.org, lowercase our name. And on that website, there's about all of us on there. There's little bios, I'm pretty sure, and there's all kinds of links about where you might want to find the different programs. They describe them. And then it also shows how to donate, and I think we're showing that now. And you can click on the donate button, and I think there's a drop-down menu that shares all the places you can decide where you want to put your money. Yep, and then there's different amounts. You can give a, individual amount. But if they want to contact us, they can just send us an email if they want to join, and we have members who have packets put together, and it's right now it's gehef.org because we haven't switched over, but.
Okay.
But just to see how far that technology has come with the cleanliness of the new website and the
website
amount of work that's been put in.
Yeah, the website is much more user-friendly.
That has to do with getting those younger people involved.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Anything else you'd like to share with the public that they should know about the organization or anything else that we've missed?
I don't know. I think it's there's need, out there, and we hope that we can continue to support those programs wholeheartedly, and we love what we do. It's a fun and rewarding experience to be on our board. A lot of very interesting people who have a lot of diverse backgrounds, a lot of energy and passion from our board members, and I mean, join us, and, keep supporting us, because we love what we do.
And that fundraiser at the clubhouse, I think, is a chance for us with the new rebranding.
Right. Well, it's Rick
Out-
Davies. I don't know if you know who that is, but he's from Supertramp. And he's volunteered his time, and some local friends of his, Brad Beyer is one of them. He plays with some musicians locally, and they're going to play at the clubhouse. And it should be fun. And Holly's worked with us with a menu and things, so it's going to be fun. It's a fun night. End of June, the last day before school gets out. So
What's the exact date on it?
June 23rd.
June 23rd.
6:30 to 9 at the clubhouse.
Okay, and people can just show up and
They
pay
can
at the door?
pay at the door, yes. And there's going to be raffles and door prizes and all kinds of things.
Fantastic.
Fun.
All right, well, I'd like to thank you for coming today, but I'd also like to thank you for all you've done over the years. I have seen the excitement in teachers' eyes when they got the little mini grant and they could do that thing that they didn't think they
Right.
could do. You make a great difference in our schools, and I'd just like to thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having
Thanks
us.
for having us.
Okay.